Hey everybody, my name is Kaiser Jack. I'm with James, and just to let you know, this is gonna be like my first podcast video. And on my podcast video, I'm going to be talking about relationships, self-improvements, and friendships. Now, the first thing I wanted to talk about, because this is the beginning of my first segment, I think what we're gonna start about, instead of relationships, we're gonna talk about the talking phase, because everything starts off with the talking phase. Now, for anybody who don't know, we're gonna explain it to you. Hey James, what do you think the talking phase is?
All right, look. So basically, right? Look, here's the talking phase, right? Like, I mean, the talking phase, like, okay, so like, you know when like you're just friends with somebody and like you're not, say like you're friends with like somebody, right? Who's like dude, right? Like, that's literally the talking phase, but like, except it's with like a woman. It's like, it's not like you guys are going out on like dates or whatever, doing nothing like romantic, but it's like you're just kind of you're just feeling each other, catching each other's vibe or whatever, just doing like stuff that like finds out like what your personality is. You know what I mean? Like, you ain't doing nothing crazy. You ain't gonna like going on like date nights or none of that shit. But it's like, I mean, yeah. So like, it's basically like, right? Like, imagine like you're talking to the other gender. Like, no, not that the other, but like the same gender, what you are, whatever. It's like that, but it's like with the woman you're trying to, or man, you're trying to get with. But it's like, you know, it's like platonic. It's platonic. Yeah, platonic. Yeah, whatever. Well, fuck it.
Hey, that's what I'm here for.
Yeah.
Hey, platonic.
Yeah, whatever.
You know, for me personally, the talking phase is really just like the trial of getting to know each other before y'all actually progress into something more serious. But at the same time, I want people to know that although you're in a talking phase, I know some people don't want to take that seriously because you're trying to, you know, take things slow. But I just want to let you know that you should, because you can also start making problems, because a lot of problems can come up. But before I do that, like for me, the talking phase is basically like, say if I meet a woman, like we would just like communicate, like we on the phone, we'll hang out, we'll try to get to know each other more. That's what the talking phase is. Now, when it comes to problems, I think the issue is that because here's one. Because it's like the talking phases is so short. So I feel like people don't realize is that, hey, if something happened, it's like complete like bad luck. And I realized, hey, I believe that you should have problems no matter what time period you guys going through. But if you're going through it in your talking phase, don't take it as a fucking red flag, because people would be like, oh, we just met each other. What could possibly be wrong? And I'll be like, a lot of things can go wrong because I don't know who you are and you don't know me. Some of that can actually, like, you know, both of our mindset can clash, right? And because of that, that leads to an argument, just like any other. And because we do it in the beginning, it's not because we're destined to fail. It's just that we just have to learn more about each other. Once we do, we know, like, hey, how to go forward from there. Now, say if, like, you know, like you go through something with them, right? Through the talking phase. And how would I say this? Y'all fail, because let's be honest, not every argument is gonna go right. Like, yeah, sometimes you gotta just take an L and be like, hey, yo, I really do care about you, so let me just take my time. Because, you know, sometimes you can disconnect, like sometimes I disconnect, like, but I believe that it's just like for certain reasons. Now, as long as you communicate.
Define disconnect.
Disconnect, so basically, I'm glad you asked. Now, people confuse that with cutting off. Like, cutting off is like, hey, bro, I'm not messing with you, I don't want nothing to do. Disconnect is basically like, sometimes you just gotta take a day to yourself, a day or two. Just to be like, hey, I want a breather, because you really don't want to mess things up. Because again, you know, the talking phase is so unstable. And because like they call it like the honeymoon phase. Like, if you're not having like the honeymoon vibe, guess what? Oh, it's hell.
Yeah. Like,
and that's why I be like, hey, for me personally, I like to take a day and a half or a day to myself. Now, say if you guys do that, don't take that as, hey, it's the end of the world. Just take it like, all right, you know what? Because we didn't do what we need to do in this conversation, somebody had to take a time to themselves. And after that finish, y'all have to have that communication like, okay, later on, why don't we try to reduce that time? Instead of like taking time to ourselves, we communicate with each other more. So instead of disconnecting, how about we try to do something fun and then come back to it?
Yeah, like I feel like whenever like you have like a disagreement or whatever, when you're like talking phase or something like that, like first and foremost, like take some time off, like disconnect or whatever, like do something fun, but like don't ever like have like that time, like don't ever not address it, you know what I mean? 'Cause, like what that's gonna lead to is just gonna lead to like a deep rooted like resentment or whatever, and you don't want that. Like,
definitely.
Like do something fun, just take your mind off of it, but like eventually you gotta like like sit down with your partner, whoever it may be, and be like, hey, like, can he address what happened at this point at blah 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 blah, and like be like, hey, I'm sorry, I did this, that, and the third, like, and your partner, like, you know, if they're like a respectful person, they're gonna be like, hey, like, I'm sorry, I did this, that, and the third, whatever. Here's what I'm gonna do in the future, like. That's like, yeah, like that's
I know. I definitely. Thanks for saying that. I definitely support that thought. And I just want to say, like, sometimes people don't really listen, but that's be like another topic. Because again, people don't listen. Not their fault. It's just the fact that sometimes, because of our different mindset, like we may think we're listening, but we're not.
Yeah.
Unless, like, the only way you can show you listening, like, all right, you tell me what I just said. Say, okay, you're aware of this. I did this. I'm sorry. That's how you go about it. But sometimes, like for me personally, the only time like I'll really like disconnect, like if I communicate with you beforehand, like, hey, I don't like this, and if you do it, now that I'm disconnecting because I don't know what else to do. I mean, I know what to do, but it's like I know it's not gonna make it better. Like I don't want to like come at you sideways, so I'll be like, you know, I'm just gonna take a day to myself. And like not
you
saying
don't want to like snap out of anger.
Yeah, I really don't because I really, you know, I really be having feelings. Like I really like when I care about someone, I care about them so hard. But I don't want them to know too much because sometimes that can like make them feel like it's being rushed. So I'll like, you know what, I'm just.
Or you don't want to gas them up either.
Yeah, so I'm just like, I'm just going to chill, disconnect just for like a day, and that's it. And then you know we were talking about it. I was like, hey yo, just let you know, I did this. And I can see why you don't like it. Yeah. However, I did this because you wasn't listening to me when I told you my problem beforehand, and because of that, I felt the need to disconnect. Now, after that, but honestly, like I said, to me, sometimes in an argument, you can't always see eye to eye, and I think what makes it more important is that, hey, it's not about winning the argument, it's about letting them know each other. Hey, I can't agree with what you're saying, and maybe I don't want to apologize, but you know, I want you to know, I genuinely like you. And I want to, you know, it's all about reassurance. I care about you, I want to continue this. And let them know, like, hey, although we failed at this argument, that don't mean we're going to keep on failing. Let's just put this behind us and move forward. And if it do come back up because, hey, somebody, you know, like, is being bothered by it, then we'll bring it up. But next time we will know that, hey, yo, we'll bring it up in a better way.
Facts, bro. Like, part of like being like an adult, you know, like in a relationship is being like, hey, like, we're not going to always disagree, and you don't have to. Like, no one, you're not gonna find like your spiritual double. It's gonna like
really
think
not.
and like act like the same way as you type of shit. Like,
Yeah.
Like eventually, like you're gonna have like points in like your relationship where it's like you're gonna have like things that like you just fundamentally don't agree on. Now, those can be either like, hey, like I just found out I'm dating a Republican, or it's like, hey, like you don't like berries on my food or whatever, something minor like that where we can like move past it or whatever. Now, how you navigate like through like that argument is either going to make or break your marriage, because I ain't gonna hold you, like even like my parents who've been married for a good 25 years, they can they're gonna go to arguments a lot, and that shit never stops.
Okay, now let me ask you this: is it because they just have different mindset and they just keep on clashing?
No, they just like to argue.
And you know, hey, sometimes some people are definitely like that. And like, say for me personally, I just wanted them to know, like, hey, despite, because again, I'm really patient and I'm really tolerative, but the issue is, as long as I know that I'm being respected and how I'm feeling is mattered, I don't care what the argument is. Like, we can go through anything. As long as you just let me know, hey, I ain't gonna lie, you can believe that, hey, you did nothing wrong, but I know that, hey, you're not crazy. I know this is bothering you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to improve in a way that you will know that I care. Just like, say for instance, for me, if I go about something right, and I'll be like, hey, yo, I don't like the way you say things. And hey, that's the way you talk. But you know, sometimes, because you know, talking phase, you don't realize we're not friends. Like, we're really trying to get to know each other. This is like, we're trying to make, people don't realize, again, we're trying to pursue a relationship. So therefore, you're like, hey, yo, it's not just about me, it's about a common ground. And because, like, literally, people don't realize it's like, there's my mindset, your mindset, and then we gotta meet in the middle. Because again, we can also always say like, hey, how would I say this? I'm not you. And I was like, of course I know. And here's the thing, I love dating people who's nothing like me. And we can have similarities, but it was like, we're arguing because you're not like me. we're going about this in a different way.
That's the spice of life, bro.
Yeah.
Like, you don't want to like be always like encountering the same kind of people all the time. Like you want to like have like if you have like an idea, like you want that idea like challenge. You don't want to like. You don't want to be around yes men all freaking day.
Exactly.
You know? Just like who don't challenge you want to like your beliefs. You know,
Yeah.
like and if that's like your partner, like this, like if that's like your life partner, or whatever. 'Cause, like that's what marriage is, like your partner, like in life. Like they should like challenge you and push you to do more.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But for me, like when it comes to that, you really got to know when, hey, even if you feel like you didn't do nothing wrong, you got to really self-reflect.
Yeah.
Because you got to know like, hey, obviously this person that I care about, I picked them for a reason, so they feeling like this towards me. Let's look at it in a relationship way, not just like, hey, he's coming at me as a person. Like, no, he's coming at me as a partner. Like, hey, yo, we're not relationshiping right. So it's like, you know what am I doing wrong? That I, say for instance, hey, yo, maybe we haven't been intimate lately or communicative. I'm like, hey, maybe I wasn't doing it on my part. Because again, I can go things in a different way. I'll be like, yo, you may have a problem with it, but I don't. And I'm sorry you feel that way. However, it's not my fault because, again, I'm a different person, so I shouldn't be in trouble for that. But that's the thing, is not about you being in trouble. It's the fact that, hey, this doesn't work for this type of, like, it's like a social norm. Although everybody's different, what keeps like a relationship together is the fact that we have a common ground. Like, say for instance, you can be hella of aggressive person. You can be with someone who's not aggressive at all, but you can meet in the middle like, hey, but hey, sometimes we like to play, play fight, something like that. And that's why I be thinking, hey, it's not about who we are as a person, it's who we can like be for each other, like adapt and learn. And that's why, like, if there's an issue, I'm a disconnect because I'm trying to find like a different angle and take a moment to myself. And that's it. Now, how to make things better through a talking phase, like I said, you gotta really just go through it, no matter what, because again, the goal is, because again, it's obstacles. Because if you can't go through obstacles now, you can't go through obstacles in a relationship. And that's why I believe that the talking phase is the best time to make all your mistakes. Right. Because it's like, once you're in a relationship, you like really expecting. They expect you to know
and,
better.
like, and plus, it's like you always want to catch those red flags like before, before it gets to the part where it's like, hey, like I just moved in with this lady, and it's like I really like her, but like goddamn, I literally kind of fucking live with her. You're like you don't want to like get to the point where it's like you're 5 years in and like you barely even know that person.
Exactly.
Like, and I feel like that stems from a point of like jumping head first into a relationship without like really knowing who the person is, and like not seeing them as like not as like your partner, but as a person. Yeah. And I feel like once like if you don't see your partner as like a person first and them as a partner, I feel like you're gonna encounter like a lot of like red flags down the line, like at points in your life where it's like, hey, I really need some stability, and it's gonna lead to heartbreak.
Definitely. So that's why for me, and I actually want to talk about red flags, because to me, people have like a misconception about red flags, because I believe that when it comes to relationship, to me, you got to really reduce those red flags, because that can really make you not want to be with that person. And sometimes you think it's a red flag until you realize, oh shoot, you know what? I can improve on this, and he can do this. Because to me, it's like a red flag is something that can never be changed.
Really?
Like, like a red flag is be like, hey, yo, hey, this is something I can't do. It's like a deal breaker. Yeah. And then you say, hey, it's a deal breaker now, until you realize later. I was like, is it a red flag because I'm not them? Because what you can perceive as a red flag, your partner won't. Because like, say, people like, hey, I don't like you catching attitude. And then they can look and she'll be like, I don't mind you catching attitude because, hey, you're feeling how you feel in this certain part. It's like, it's emotion, we're human. And when you hear about like people, how they have different perspectives on red flags, it made me realize, like, you know what? To me, I just want to keep it, like, it got to be like a red flag that's too high. Like, say for instance, like, hey, don't cheat, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. It got to be something like that.
I mean, I wouldn't consider that a red flag. Like, a red flag is something like can be changed or whatever. Like, a red flag is like, hey, like not communicating with me when you should. Yeah. A red flag is like being like a slow texter or whatever.
Exactly.
Like, a deal breaker is cheating. A deal breaker is freaking doing shit like that or whatever. It's like a deal breaker is something that's like, it's a deal breaker. It's like the one, like, I can like date a girl, well, I can at least talk to a girl with multiple red flags. I can't talk to a girl that like has a deal breaker. Like, if you've ever cheated before, like after like the age of like 18, don't talk to me. Like, straight, like, I'm not like, I literally cannot trust a woman who used to cheat. Like, what, like you don't cheat with me? Like, huh? Like,
And
if
that's-
that was like, if it was like back then, like we was like young, like I understand, like it's cool. But it's like if you like cheating, like when you like 21, 22, if you're like a grown woman playing like middle school games, like that's not even like a red flag. That's a deal breaker.
Definitely.
That's a deal breaker, bro.
Like that's why like to me like I always consider like red flags and deal breakers like equivalent because I think there's red flags and there's warnings.
Yeah.
That's why I be like to me
Yeah.
I want to make you got to make sure when it comes to a talking face, try to transition a red flag to a warning because again you're talking about someone who is not you, and I know like hey, you care about yourself and you got to try to uphold your value. However, like sometimes something is all about communication. And I think people don't realize, hey, communication takes time. Like say for instance, if you tell me, hey, you go about things a different way, I'll be like, you know what? You told me, hey, it takes time for us, so that's your lie. That's cool. However, now the only thing that I just need is to show that, hey, just give me that intimacy and that's it. Because if I know that you'll say, you never know, oh yeah, I think one thing that can make a talking stage unstable is the fact that hey, you think someone's losing feelings for you, or you think like hey, they're acting odd, and they don't even like realize. I think that's like the biggest thing is like when somebody's acting odd, and you're aware of it, but they're not addressing it, and you be like, oh, everything's fine. And you be like, and to them maybe things are fine, but like they won't acknowledge that no, you are acting different. You can probably be like trying to be more laid back in a relationship now, but no, just let you know this is not how you present yourself.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, maybe you're trying to be, relaxed now, and because sometimes, hey, there's like different side of you that I haven't learned yet. However, because of that, you should be also aware I haven't seen this side of you, so of course it's gonna be odd. So why don't you like communicate with me and let me know? Now, a talking face, I think that if things don't go well, that don't mean things will never go well. Because I believe that the future has many opportunities.
Facts.
So I believe that's why I really is about giving. I don't believe in second chances. I believe that chances where you start seeing development and you be like, hey, I can really see myself with them. You don't have to have an intense feeling. You can just more like, just have like a glimpse. And be like, you know what? If we could have went about this a different way, things could be okay. And the moment I start thinking about this, I'm like, all right, if things could go a different way, we could be together. So how about this? Why don't we find a different angle? Like say for instance for me, I'd be like, hey, I remember for my friend, he actually goes here, I told him, hey, you know what? If we ever have a problem and we can't fix it, guess what? We gotta play foosball. I know, it's strange, right? But like I said, it's a game, and hear me out. Whoever wins, that person had to take off that's the heat. Because again, it's like,
What do you mean?
think of like an argument, it takes two, right? So we have both to blame. So how about this? If I beat you, then I'm gonna be like, hey, can you take responsibility for this part? And then you be like, it can be just something, that's just like an example, because some people don't want to, or I can be like, hey, I really want you to hear me and say like, if we're not really hearing each other out about this, we can play, and if I beat you, you listen to me first.
You know what? Like I feel like that could have like its advantages, but I'm not gonna lie. Like if we like talk about like something like serious, like a serious argument, like the last thing in my mind is fucking football, bro.
Yeah, I definitely agree.
Like,
I'm talking about something light.
So yeah, something light.
Yeah,
but,
now
like, if it's something serious and you talking about some football, I don't know, bro.
No, I'm talking about like a light situation.
Yeah.
If you ain't seen that. Now, if it's something serious, now I have one specific where I'm just gonna be like, you know what? Let's go out for a walk.
Yeah,
Let's go for a walk.
Something like
And I mean like a walk, I'll be like, hey, I know, like, hey, we cannot escape each other. Like, hey, we're gonna really figure this out. Like, say for instance, like, if it's through the car, I'll be like, all right, you know what? See, we ain't seen how to. Why don't we go for a walk and see how this goes? Because to me, and I think like the biggest thing people don't realize is like, they worry about like how long this is going, because you can have sometimes an issue can go for more than one day, and that's okay because
this should go on for like a day, like 2-3 years.
Yeah, now that's bad, but I'm saying like if it goes in for like a couple of days, then you be like, you know what, that's okay. Like don't think of it as like, hey yo, don't be impatient, or be like, hey yo, this shit ain't working out. But like, no, we're doing this because we couldn't figure this out. So how about this? We take, like, okay, we couldn't figure out that first day, try to figure out that second day, and that's it. And you gotta make sure that you care, not just for them to make them happy. It's about us.
Yeah, it's about that.
Yeah, because if you're doing it to make me happy, it's like, okay, then it's equivalent to anybody trying to say whatever they need to say to fix things. But no, I want you to be aware, like, hey, yo, it's not just me. Just like, say, for instance, if it's a problem, and I'm like, no, you did this. Don't deflect. Don't deflect on the talking stage.
Don't be all like, oh yeah, like I did this, but like you could have done this. Like,
yeah.
Learn to take responsibility.
Exactly.
Learn to take responsibility.
Exactly. Because when you do that, some feel the need to explain more, and then you wouldn't like that. It's like they explain more because you're not listening, and they can both go clashing.
Yeah.
Now, because of that, I think we did pretty well for this. I think we talked about all the main cores. Now, how I want to finish it off, like say in the talking phase, I'm gonna say 3 things on what I believe that you can do to keep on going, and then I want you to say 3 things. All right?
Okay.
All right. So the first one for me personally is just like, hey, if things ain't going the way you want to, just let you know it's not just you. You remember you're talking about somebody completely different than you. Even if they have similarities, the moment you have an issue, sometimes you gotta take a moment, and it's okay, as long as you know that, hey, we're gonna come back and figure things out. And number 2, keep in mind that, hey, because it's like the talking phase is unstable, and you guys are still getting to know each other, because people ask it, like, you know, people say it's the honeymoon phase, but people don't realize that, you know, you can also look at it as it's the unstable phase, where like, hey, the rocky phase. So it just makes sure that, hey, any problems that you think is gonna happen, try to talk everything out, try to experience as much as you can through that talking phase, and that's it. Because to me, you have like a better chance of trying to fix things on that than a relationship. Because I mean, yeah, you'd be like, oh, I have invested all that time, but to me, it's not always about the time. The time is just a record of how long y'all been each other. It's about what you guys achieve. It's what you achieve, not just like communication. It's just like, say, like, you know, first kiss, first date, like all that, and realize, hey, yo, we did so much in a short amount of time. I'll be imagine what we can do if it's like double the time. Now, the third one is just know that, hey, again, because you're with a different person, take your time. And hey, if there's a problem, I believe that everybody should have this mindset of like, hey, yo, let's have a reset.
Facts.
Because again, it's like, hey, now that we know, hey, because think of it like a video game. Hey, sometimes you just die before you get to the boss level. There's obstacles, so sometimes because you know how this is gonna go, be like, hey, if we can't figure this out, how about this? Let's have a reset. Well, a reset is basically, if you don't know, is like anything that just happened from here on out, it's gone. We know it, but it's like, I care about you so much, I like you so much, and hey, yo, it's gone. We're gonna remember it as a learning experience. So next time we have a different problem, we know like, hey, you think like this, I think like this. I think we will know how to partner up in this. Because one thing you gotta look at it when it comes to a situation is that, hey, don't try to be against each other. Be like as a team, like instead of like, hey, I'm looking at you, hey, you did this, I did this. No, this be like this. Like, all right, we're right here. This is the problem. Hey, I did this part, you did this part. How about this? I'm going to fix what I did instead of telling you what you did, and then you're going to fix this. Here's the thing, I'm gonna tell you how I feel about what you did, and then you choose what you need to do to make things better for you. And I'm going to do the same. And instead of like saying like, hey, you did this, one thing I want to work on right now is like from now on, from this day forward, I'm going to say I believe the reason why I feel like this is because I wish that I could have talked to the person I care about more, and because of that, I was sad, you know, it would suck. I want to be with that person, and I'm trying to find a way how. Or if I'm getting frustrated, I'll be like, hey, yo, I'm frustrated because I'm trying to get my point across, and because we have a different mindset and we're still learning each other, I want to find a different angle, and the angles that I'm finding isn't working, and I would like to learn what to do. And that's pretty much it. How about you?
Yeah, so like, look, man, honestly, I feel like the first thing, like, you should like, honestly, look, first step, you have to like effectively, this may seem obvious, but this goes back to what I was saying before, spot the red flag before like it shit gets like to a point where it's like, before like you really get on like, hey, like I've sunk in like this amount of time, this amount of money, this amount of blankets, whatever. And other parts of that is like, don't like think about that sunken cost fallacy or whatever. You know what I mean? Like just because like you spent like this amount of time or money, whatever, this amount of time with a person, that don't mean like you still gotta be with them, if that makes sense. Just because like even like kids, like even if you have like any kids or whatever, don't think like, oh, I still have to be with that person, bro. Like you should always be chasing your happiness no matter where it is. If you're not happy for like your partner should be your peace. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like if you're not like at peace with your partner, if you come home from work and it's like another job, you know what I mean? So like look, go back to my original point. Like I feel like most people should like always like ask like really like weird questions to their partner, not partner, but just like to their person they're trying to holler at, and like they're talking with, and you're like, hey, like, are you a Republican? Or something like
like
something
it's just something that that might irritate you, or you can be like, hey, what frustrates you?
Yeah,
do you get irritated easily?
Yeah,
those are important questions as well.
Yeah. Like, and just
I want to know your favorite color.
like I don't care about your Sagittarius sign, bro. Like, how are you like when like we live in together? You know, do you take care of yourself? Do you take care of your bathroom? You know, like spout out like these like things, these red flags or whatever first before like you start to get into like this fucking college or whatever, before like you invest like all this resources into this person. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So look, number 2. Honestly,
you don't have to have 3.
nah, I mean, not like I don't know if this applies to every person, but it's like don't text that person too much. Like try to see like if you're in that talking phase, bro, like try to see them as much as you can. Like I know like we're all like adults, we all like have like our own lives living and shit. But it's like if you really like that person, you're going to make out time to see them.
Yeah, definitely.
You will make out time to see them.
Sometimes it's hard because if somebody can't drive, like say personally with me, what I usually do is I'll Uber. But sometimes if you can't do that, you gotta keep in mind that all types of communication counts. However, if you can't text much, like for me personally, just give me a call.
Facts,
like, hey, just say for instance, like, hey, I'm gonna be busy later, but just let you know, like, hey, I really want to talk to you. Hey, let's have a call real quick. Let's have a call, like, like a good 20, 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And for me, that person really lasts for hours.
Yeah.
Like, cause as long as you either give me a good phone call, or you just tell me, hey, I'm gonna be busy later, but I'll let you know. Cause I don't want you to think that I'm like,
I'm ghosting you type of
shit. Because sometimes it's not even that. It's just like I don't want you to think that, hey, I'm not part of your day.
Yeah, fact.
Because sometimes people got things to do.
Yeah, like
I say for instance, you can go to work and I won't know, so I'm over here like, bro, can you like, why you ain't talking? Why can you let me know? But if you let me know, I'll be like, hey, everything. Don't care. Like I really don't care how long I don't hear from you, as long as you let me know. And again, I'm not your dad, I'm not your parent, I'm not your family. It's just more like, hey, I just want to know what's going on, so I know, like, hey, if I didn't do nothing.
Yeah, facts, bro. Like, freaking.
Go 10 hours without hearing from me. As long as you tell me, hey, yo,
this is what I'm doing. So like, and that's something like about third point, bro. Like, if you're in like a talking phase, effectively communicate. You know what I mean? I'm not just talking about just like being like, hey, how you doing? How you doing? But like, be all like, listen, like, this is what I'm doing at this point in third. This is why I couldn't talk to you or whatever. This is why I couldn't do blah, 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 blah. You know what I mean? Like, effectively communicate the point you're trying to get across, and like, just try to like effectively like talk to like the person that like you're trying to make into like your potential partner.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, the talking phase is ultimately just practicing for a relationship, or just practicing for a friendship, whatever it may be. And like that like high get to know you phase is kind of like critical for like for like being like that kind of person and stuff like that. So,
remember, 101 is definitely important.
Yeah,
like say,
for sure. Like don't
always
like,
be like in groups.
Yeah,
you know, they're like, because again, it's like, cause sometimes they're at the point where you be like, hey, say like if I'm in a group and they're like, hey, they end up feeling like, hey, this person's like one of the guys, or like, hey, she's like one of the girls. Like say sometimes like you gotta really in the talking phase, you gotta really have that 1-on-1. Yeah. More like or even if you're like in a group, make sure y'all right next to each other. Just have like a little bit of intimacy. So like, hey, we doing something, I'd be like, hey, how you doing, man?
Yeah, bro, like like listen, talk to a woman like you're talking to like one of your guys, but it's like don't like.
Again, you can be part of the group, but at the same time, I'll let you know, hey, there's the group, and we in the group. Nice. Not like, hey, both of us we're in it. It's like, no, we together. Not like, hey, I'm in the group and you in the group. We in the group.
So like, that's all I got. Like, look for the red flags. Effectively communicate with your partner. Yeah. What was the one I said? Oh,
make sure you don't have to talk all the time.
You said what?
Make sure you don't have to text all the time. Try to see them.
Yeah, like look, don't touch them all the time. Like Make out time to see it, to see the person
definitely.
like you're trying to fuck with.
Now, I believe that we conquered the talking phase, or like, hey, they can always be a part 2, but hey, I think that'd be good enough for now.
Man.
How I believe. Thank you again, James, for being a part of this. I really greatly appreciate it. Especially the fact that, hey, I think we did very well. Like, we got in the minutes that I really wanted.
Yeah.
And for anybody who's listening, hey, give me any feedback, like, comment, subscribe. Make sure you click the bell for the notifications, because sometimes people don't get notified. Yeah. And hey, let me know if you want to see him more, because hey, he might be a recurring cast. You never know, because he definitely have things to say, and I value it. If you have like any other people that want to be in a video, let me know. And I think, and one more thing, when it comes to a talking phase, I just let you know, if things don't go well and you guys don't feel like, hey, you guys are a good match, how I look at it is like, hey, we may not be a good match right now. Hey, they can always be, like I said, there's always a tomorrow. It's because you can see, it's all about, hey, you see a change. Because I remember I saw a song about like, this is gonna be cheesy, I remember I saw the Beauty and the Beast, and there was nothing. They should not be together at all. And then it had that one song where it was like, hey, I'm starting to see something that I've never seen before. And honestly, that's all it takes.
Like there is like a such thing as like meeting like the right person at the wrong time.
Yeah.
You know, I mean that does like completely exist.
And say sometimes you meet the wrong person and then give them enough time and then they end up being the right person.
Yeah,
that's why I be like, hey yo, if something don't work out, hey, just don't take it like, hey yo, this person's not for me. Just be like, hey yo, just keep them in your circle and just be like, hey, you know what? I really want to. It's all about investment. Like, hey yo, I really want to see what we can do. Why don't we take it? Why don't we have a reset? Take it slow and pursue. My name is Kaiser. Thank you for hearing my little podcast, and I appreciate it. And hey, we're done. Yeah, I just want to get you to laugh.
Yeah.